Hello and welcome to New Thought Center for Spiritual Living. I'm Shannon O'Hurley and I am so grateful to be with you this day. We have Jami Lula with us. Oh my goodness, so excited to have him in the house. Love him, love him, love him. Know that if you are joining us for the very first time, we are an inclusive, progressive, and compassionate community. We honor all people, all walks of life, every faith path. All are welcome here. And not only are you welcome here, but we have mindfully and we have thoughtfully created a place just for you exactly as you are this day. So on behalf of our staff, of our community, I welcome you. And I'm glad you're here. Enjoy.
Thank you, Reverend Shannon. I'm Reverend Christine Green. Please join me as we anchor our time together in prayer. And so breathing into this sacred moment of now, I know and recognize that there is only one presence, one power, one infinite life that is good. It is the source of love. And I know it contains everything that is seen and unseen. I know without a doubt that I am one with this life. I am inseparable from it. And it is this life that flows in and through and as and expresses through all of creation. It is that illuminating power of love. And so I know this power, this source, moves in and through every aspect of our celebration today. I know love moves through the music and the message, through the wonders of technology that make this service accessible to all. I'm so grateful for our beautiful community and for this time together. I know that we are truly blessed and filled with light and love and peace and harmony. I release this word with deep gratitude and love, and so it is. I just want to let you know that this Wednesday I will be offering a post-election meditation. It will be from 6:30 to 7 and will be a Zoom call, so please check the website for the Zoom details. Our Caring Corner is having a food drive and collecting canned and packaged goods on November 15 from 1 to 4. Please check out the website for the details of what's needed. Our youngish group, Elevate, for 30s to 40ish, will be meeting the first and third Mondays of each month from 8 to 9 p.m. beginning Monday, November 2nd. For information about these events and so much more, please check out our website. And now it's time for our spiritual practice. So as we move into meditation, take a breath, get comfortable in your chair. Open your heart as we connect in meditation with Brian Harris.
Thank you, Reverend Christine. For our centering time this morning, I'll be reading a guided meditation written for us by practitioner Allison Hilber. I invite you to close your eyes and settle deeply into your seat, releasing any tension you may be holding in your body or your mind. Breathe deeply and slowly, feeling the energy of spirit within moving throughout your entire being. We are part of an ongoing cosmic shift that is reordering our world. Every one of us is an integral part of this shift. Each of us have an important role to play in the evolution of our collective consciousness. Every prayerful response of peace, understanding, kindness, and faith contributes greatly to a higher vibration of life. As we enter into these new levels of consciousness, moving deeper into connection with spirit and with each other, I invite you to move through this experience with courage and wisdom. Imagine the feeling of embodying wisdom in every aspect of your life, your health, finances, your relationships. All the while trusting completely that Spirit has all of the details handled perfectly. Imagine releasing any fear and moving courageously into faith, knowing God is good all the time. And knowing that all things are temporary and that all is always evolving towards a higher good. I invite you to take this affirmation by Julian of Norwich into your daily activities. All shall be well, and all shall be well, and all manner of things shall be well. Because there is a force of love moving through the universe that holds us fast and will never let us go. And so it is. Well, our musical guest this morning is one of my favorite people to make music with. And he's a great friend of the center, coming to us from his home in LA. Please welcome Jami Lula.
Something's calling me. Something's calling me. Something's calling me a little bit deeper than I ever been before. Feels like I'm walking on marbles. Can't still the earth beneath my feet. Is my head in the clouds, my naked legs like daylight. I can feel my heart begin to pound. Yeah. Something's calling me a little bit deeper than I've ever been before. Something's calling me a little bit deeper than I've ever been before. A long dark night, my soul it wandered. Can't see the light that moves me. If God is everything and everywhere that I belong, Spirit gently wakes me from my sleep. Something's calling me a little bit deeper than I've ever been before. Something's calling me a little bit deeper than I've ever been before. Oh Lord, take me deeper than I've ever been before. Oh Lord, hold me deeper than I've ever been before. never been before. Peace is calling me a little bit deeper than I've ever been before. Oh, 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 faith is calling me a little bit deeper than I've ever been before. God is calling me, and I'm grateful like I've never been before. God is calling me, and I'm grateful like I've never been before.
Wow. Thank you so much, Jami Lula. You bless us all. I love that song. I love that. We were in our ministerial meeting and Shelley Walker actually said, oh, that's my favorite Jami Lula song, Something's Calling Me. So I'm so glad. Thank you very much for giving that to us this day. Speaking of Shelley Walker, I want to thank her for such a wonderful talk last week. Oh my goodness, if you have not yet seen that, I highly invite you to watch that. It's about relationships and trauma response. It's just wonderful. I highly recommend that. Thank you again, Shell, so much. So, yes, Jami just sang, something's calling us. Something is calling us into something deeper, into something greater than ever before. That is for sure. I believe in my bones that what is calling us is a greater experience of love, of compassion, of joy, and as counterintuitive as this may sound right now, I believe that what is calling us is a greater awareness of the connectivity of all of life in the midst of all that is happening around us. And that is what I'm going to talk about today. I was recently reading a book by Rob Bell, love him, and I came across something that reminded me of something that probably, we all heard in science class way back, and maybe we have forgotten it. I know I forgot the specifics of it. And in thinking about this right now, this time of human evolution and this idea is unexpectedly and astonishingly relevant. And that is that 13.8 billion years ago, give or take, there was initially a single point of divine godness, if you will, manifested as compressed mass, this spark of divine compressed mass. And then there was a big bang. And then that God stuff became particles, and they swirled in the universe. And as they swirled in the universe, those divine particles eventually did something radical. They began bonding with other particles, which created atoms, which were brand new. There had never been any atoms in the universe up to that point. Those particles somehow knew that they needed to connect, to bond to each other, to grow into atoms, to grow into something greater. And then over time, the sacred atoms began to bond with other atoms. And aha, that formed molecules, which again were brand new. There had never been molecules on the planet in the universe up until that point. And then about 9 billion years later or so, those molecules began to connect and bond with other molecules, and that connection formed cells. And that brilliant decision by those molecules was a game changer. Because, my friends, those cells grew into new and holy organisms, which kept connecting and bonding and growing until 13 billion years later, from the divinity itself known as particles and atoms to molecules to cells, all having to connect and unite in order to create something greater, we arrived. we arrived. At the most basic level, we are all made of just 4 types of particles, which have been around for the majority of the lifetime of this universe. We share those particles with every sentient being that has ever existed. We have belonged to each other before cells existed. Within our universe, there has always been a divine order of belonging. And every one of us, every single one of us, is a part of it. The unfathomably magnificent, infinite intelligence of the universe has taught us in no uncertain terms that on a cellular level, in order to grow and survive, we have an innate need to join together, to bond and unite. And this is how we create greater and greater life. This is the way of God. This is the way of love itself. If our teaching could be whittled down into one word, it would be oneness. And this, my friends, this is the depth of what we mean when we say that. It is a cosmological evolutionary oneness that existed before humankind ever arrived on the scene. That is the depth of the oneness that we teach, that we speak of, and that we are. We had it backwards, I believe. It is not e pluribus unum, which is Latin for out of the many one, which was the motto proposed for the first Great Seal of the United States by John Adams, Benjamin Franklin, and Thomas Jefferson in 1776. It wasn't. It wasn't ever out of the many one, which inherently discounted so many. It was always, always out of the one many, which is a very different concept. Out of the one divine intelligence, the one spirit, creator, source, infinite love, all of us came, every single one of us. What a different world for Black and brown people and women and our LGBTQIA siblings, etc. What a completely different world we would have had if that level of reverence for our innate connectivity had been the deepest understanding by those who initially set out to divide and conquer and steal so much. What a different world we would have had. Rob Bell wrote, "All exclusions have only ever taken place within one massive inclusion." All exclusions have only ever taken place within one massive inclusion. The divine original intent of life was that we all belong. Which brings me to the election. The title of my talk today is Cast a Vision. Do you see what I did there? No. We're all voting, we're casting our vote, and that's a way in which we can individually and collectively cast our vision for our country. Now, I know that there are some very high nerves right now, and given the latest Supreme Court appointment and the upcoming election, fear is very understandable. And if you are feeling fearful, I want you to know that I hear you. And I am going to gently remind you that if you allow it, on the breath, your faith has far more strength, resiliency, and power than your fear. Your faith has far more strength, resiliency, and power than any fear. And so take a deep breath. And I invite you to turn to your faith, to that part of you that is strong, rather than to your fear, the part of you that is grasping or that wants to grasp. Turn to your strength, that wellspring within you, which is spirit within you. And allow that, my friends, to fortify you. This week, lean into your strength. Lean into your faith. Lean into spirit. Black Elk said, "At the center of the universe dwells the Great Spirit, and that center is everywhere. It is within each one of us." It is within each one of us. And so knowing that that spirit is within each one of us, right now as we move through this time together, one of the ways that we can turn towards the inner strength and faith that we have at the depths of our being is to consciously make the decision to engage in that which brings us joy. This doesn't mean we're not paying attention to everything that's going on. It simply means that we also focus wherever we can on the joy and the God and the light in this life. Recently, I experienced joy sitting at my dining room table with my husband and our 18-year-old daughter, McKenna, who was voting for the very first time in this election. And McKenna is very passionate about social justice and civic engagement. And, she accompanied me to many sit-ins and rallies and vigils and marches that I helped to coordinate during my time as an organizer. I had no idea that it was so empowering for her. If you have kids, know that. It's an incredibly empowering thing to do with them and to include them. And so she's very vocal in her senior government class and enjoys it very much. And as an assignment, all of the students had to look at all of the propositions on the ballot and carefully craft a nonpartisan pro and con summary to each one. Brilliant, I thought. And so there we were at the table, and as soon as we started talking about propositions, McKenna pulls out the document that they created together as a class, and she carefully and thoughtfully read each one of them in detail to David and I, and we discussed them before we marked our ballots. And it was such a delight, it was such a joy to witness her joy and her reverence for the privilege that we all have in this country to vote our principles. What a beautiful reminder it was for me. It was also a profound reminder of what is at stake in this election. As I sat there with my daughter, and I really took in what we are facing as a nation, as a people. And here's what I want you to know. What comforts me, what brings me a breath of faith and trust and calm, is the absolute knowing that all the way back to the Big Bang, we have been built to unite rather than to divide. That comforts me, that we have always been designed to unite with each other. Ernest Holmes wrote, "No greater mistake could be made than to think that we must separate life from what it does. We must unify and not divide." I heard a story from a man named Houston Kraft, and his job is to study what he calls deep kindness. What a great job that is. And he told a story about a young woman named Helga who lived in Seattle, and this happened several years ago. she was there and she received a phone call that her father, who was in Arizona, had suddenly fallen critically ill and was being rushed to the nearest hospital, and it was very, very serious. And she was told to come right away. She left for the airport to catch the very next flight without even packing a bag. And just as she was settling down into her seat on the plane, she received the dreaded phone call that her father had died. Then she had to turn her phone off. And she sat in her seat on that flight for nearly 3 hours in complete shock, not saying a word to anyone around her, just holding it all in. And when she got off the plane and made it a few feet onto the pathway towards the exit of the airport, it just all hit her, and her knees buckled underneath her, and she fell to the ground and she began to sob out loud. She sat there on the busy airport floor for almost 2 hours, completely overwhelmed by her pain, sobbing as people just kept walking by. And Helga later told Houston that, her crying had been uncontrollable. Her grief was immense, and that thousands of people must have walked past her in those 2 hours, and not one single person stopped to ask if she was okay or if they could help her. Not one person. Here's the thing that is so important about this story. It doesn't mean that any of those thousands of people were bad people. It just means that they chose their schedule or their comfort level over an act of deep kindness. No matter what, we are always at choice to be kind, even when it is messy and uncomfortable and inconvenient, especially now. If you had seen a young woman sitting on the floor in a busy airport sobbing, and you had gotten that inner nudge, which I would venture to assume most of the passersby did but just ignored, but you decided not to ignore it, and you decided to follow that nudge and take a deep breath and say, the hell with my momentary discomfort or my schedule, and you stopped to make sure that she was okay, would it even cross your mind to ask her if she was voting Democrat or Republican, or if she was a liberal or a conservative? Of course not. Of course it wouldn't. Out of the one, many. I'm reminded of Shelley's question to us from last week. She asked, what if we assume that we all want the same thing? Safe families, meaningful work, healthy bodies. What if we assume that? Now, while there are some people who do have nefarious intent, or people who would rather divide than unite, that is not the majority of us. That is not the nature of the universe, and that is not the innate nature of human beings. Just look at the sheer number of people who have voted early, who are in long lines right now as I speak. Even now, they're joining together to create something that is far greater than before. There is so much hope and love and God in that. There's a wonderful nonpartisan grassroots organization called Election Defenders, dedicated to combating voter suppression and intimidation, and they came up with a genius idea called Joy to the Polls. Maybe you've seen this. They bring music to people who are waiting in long lines at the polling places, and it totally changes the energy of the people who are in line. It diffuses stress or worry, and some of their videos went viral. There are also volunteer groups that serenade first-time voters. This was seen in Portland, Oregon. There was a marching band in Brooklyn who marched past a polling place to bring joy and love, to remember, help us remember truth. There's a nonprofit that orders pizzas for folks in long lines around the country. This is who we are. This is who we are. The Dalai Lama says that his main spiritual practice is altruism. This from a man who meditates between 3 to 5 hours per day. Altruism, by definition, is having an unselfish regard or a devotion to the welfare of others. It is the sole motivation to benefit someone other than oneself. And when we approach the world through an altruistic lens, like those nonprofits that are bringing music and joy and pizzas to the polling places, when we approach the world through an altruistic lens, we become the world we want to see. The extraordinary nurses and doctors and healthcare workers right now who are taking care of COVID workers, it's a beautiful example of altruism because they're just helping them to help them. They don't ask their patients if they're voting red or blue. They just help. And when we say that we have a vision to help make the world a better place, it is not just for people with our ideology. Remember that. It is for all people. All people. The Dalai Lama said that love is his religion, and I hold this to be true of ours as well. Love. Love is our religion. It's our faith. It is the most true thing about us. Because Dia de los Muertos, or the Day of the Dead, is upon us, I've been thinking a lot lately about our ancestors, about what they must be thinking about all of this 2020-ness. Oh my. I think about my grandmother Eileen a lot. The Day of the Dead is the beautiful Mexican holiday that celebrates those who have passed on and our connection with them into the spirit world. And when I think of my grandmother Eileen, I believe that the best way I can honor her, the best way that we can honor those who have gone before us, is to do what is ours to do and to live our lives as loving and compassionate and kind and altruistic as we possibly can, especially now. Especially now. Ruth Bader Ginsburg said, "You can disagree without being disagreeable." Let's hold to that high-minded wisdom and altruistic way of being this week. You can disagree without being disagreeable. In the Hebrew Bible or the Old Testament, there is no specific word for spiritual, because that would have implied or meant that other things weren't spiritual. The ancients knew that everything was in some way connected to God or spirit or source, even the really hard stuff. And this, hear me when I say this is a very spiritual time that we are in right now. I know it may not feel like it, but oh, if it is. My goodness, the growth and the expansion. And just hold to the truth that divine love itself stands at the ready for each one of us. In the breath, on the breath. The Bhagavad Gita, one of the oldest, most ancient texts we have, Hinduism, the mother of all religions. In that ancient text, it says that God dwells in the world, enveloping all everywhere. Not just on one side of the aisle or the other. Out of the one, many. Out of the one, each one of us. Whatever the outcome of this election, we all belong to each other. Even if some of us don't yet understand that. Down to ourselves, we are connected by the same divine one. Let that be your strength this week. Let that support you. Let that truth comfort you. And know that in this interconnectivity, ultimately, love always wins. Let's pray. I invite you to take a deep breath and turn within. What a blessing it is to know that love wins, no matter what, no matter what, no matter what. And so in this vibration of love, I affirm for each one of us a calm, a comfort, an ease, a grace, and an inner strength that is spirit, that is always at the ready. We can turn to this in any moment of fear or anger or sadness. And I affirm that each one of us has the ability within us to do that this week, to turn to our faith, to our inner strength, to love, to allow it to fortify us. And in this inner strength and love, in this moment, I bring into this prayerful energy all of our loved ones, our friends, our family, affirming that this same love is right where they are. That this love is on the ground that they stand upon and the air that they breathe. We are that connected to them from wherever we are. And in this same energy, in this place, I allow this prayer to be a beacon of strength and comfort and light and hope to any place that is fearful, that is experiencing violence or illness or racism. What a blessing it is to know that out of the one, many, each one of us and all of our unique manifestations. And so in this, I bless each of us, wherever we may be, in our churches, mosques, ashrams, temples, circles, paths, in our homes, wherever we may be in our thought patterns, that we are comforted, guided, and loved by love itself. And so from this place of love itself, I give profound gratitude for all the joy and the love and the absolute knowing of our connectedness. What a blessing it is to know that we are all connected in this experience, and love wins. Love is the order of the day, of the moment, of the hour, of the breath. And so from this place of love, I rest in this truth. I allow it to be, and so it is. Blessed be. I'll be back with you in a little bit.
Thank you, Rev Shannon, for that wonderful message. We're going to hear from Jami Lula in just a moment, but now is our time for conscious giving. So I invite you to take a moment and just reflect on this experience. And if you found value in this service today, there are many ways that you can pay it forward. You can text to give, you can give online, you can mail in your gift. All of the information is in the description of this video, or you can find all the information on our homepage of our website. So now just take a deep breath right into your heart and join me in this blessing. From the love of pure spirit within me, I bless this gift. I send it forth to heal and bless and prosper. It does good work in the world and returns to me multiplied abundantly. And so it is. And now, Jami Lula.
You've come here to be. Love is my choice. decision. Oh, love is my voice. Love is my religion. Love is my religion. Come on. I wish you strength. I wish you courage. Wish you love, 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 love. I wish you purpose to create all your dreams and co-conspire with the light of your life. Love is my choice. Love is my decision. Oh, love is my voice. Love is my religion. Love is my religion. Oh, your answers to eternity are always deep inside you. That freedom of expression is yours to choose right now. Love is my choice. Love is my decision. Oh, love is my voice. Love is my religion. Oh, love is my choice. Love is my decision. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Love is my voice. Love is my religion. Yeah. Love is my religion. Yeah. Love is my religion. Love is, oh, love is my religion. Love is, oh, love is my religion. Love is
Wow. Thank you so much, Jami Lula. You are so awesome, my brother. I'm so grateful for you and just all the ways that you show up in the world for our movement. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you to our incredible team, the New Thought Messengers and the production team and our ministerial team, everyone that does so much work each week to bring these services to you. I'm so grateful, so grateful. Next week, our very own Brian Harris will be right here. And so, my beloveds, as you go into this week, turn to your faith. Let us together say our final blessing. May you go in the light, as the light, and with the light, until we meet again. May the long-time sun shine upon you, all love surround you, and the pure light within you guide you on your way. You are so loved. Mwah. See you next week. Bye.